The Treasury benches to a very interesting address by the Leader of the Opposition. I am reminded that yesterday was the 127th birthday of the ruling party on this side, and really I would have asked him to join us, to gift us a effective Lokpal as a birthday present.
It was his birthday.
But I know,
It was his birthday.
I see. I believe it was his birthday
was
also,
his birthday.
if not yesterday, a day before yesterday. But I know that the BJP is parsimonious in distributing presents. I didn't use the word stingy, but it is certainly parsimonious. So at least, if you don't do it for our sake, please join us in passing a Lokpal bill today for the sake of the nation. My friend, you have to decide a fundamental question today. And the fundamental question is, do you want to pass a Lokpal bill or do you not want to pass a Lokpal bill?
Very well.
It's no use. It's no use. My friends in the BJP should realize it's no use putting a string of conditionalities in your statements. It's no use saying that I want to pass a strong bill. I want to pass a strong, a comprehensive, a real, a effective bill after 3 months, after referring again to the standing committee with further discussion and further amendment. In my sentence just now, there were 15 conditionalities. That is the conditionality which you are using as a pretext, as an excuse not to pass the bill. If you don't want to pass the bill, say so. If you don't want to pass the bill, have the courage of your convictions. Don't hide in pretensions and excuses. Do not try to mislead the nation by trying to look always as if you are passing a bill. But your own colleague in the other house says refer it back to the standing committee or a select committee. Your colleague on record says please take 3 months.
Mr. Pani, please sit
अभी
down.
तो शुरुआत है पानी जी अभी तो शुरुआत है.
Please. भाई बैठ जाइए.
अभी तो शुरुआत है. अभी दर्द होगा. अभी शुरुआत है. पानी साहब थोड़ा सब्र रखिए. Now, therefore, please be honest. Please be honest in your convictions and take a stand which is straightforward. Now let's start one by one, Mr. Jaitley's various
Can you please
important
resume your
points.
place? He has not conceded.
Let's deal with the
He has
points
not
one by one.
conceded. Please resume your place.
Mr. Chairman, sir, we heard them largely in silence.
No,
they should
please,
extend the
आप
same
बैठ जाइए.
courtesies to us.
No, I'm sorry, he has not conceded. बैठ जाइए आप. बैठ जाइए.
अगर तर्क नहीं है तो फिर इंटरप्शन न
बैठ
करें कम से
जाइए.
कम.
नहीं, आप नहीं भी इंटरफेयर कर सकते. बैठ जाइए.
तरीका हुआ किस बात
What is this?
देखिए
नहीं, अभी
अग्रवाल साहब please speak.
माननीय सदस्य, मैं ये जानना चाहता हूं कि क्या लोकपाल बिल के अंदर जो अमेंडमेंट्स दिए गए हैं, क्या आप उनको टोटली अस्वीकार कर रहे हैं इस समय? आप अपनी बात कर लीजिए. आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि हम उसको स्वीकार नहीं कर रहे. हम लोकपाल के समर्थन में हैं, लेकिन हमारे संशोधनों के साथ हैं.
Mr. Agarwal, the debate does not end when the leader of the opposition sits down. That stage will come after a lot of others finish. Now let's take them one by one. My friend made a caricature of the whole process of the CBI, of the whole process of investigation. Let's look at it one by one and let's look at it a little seriously, not with the intent to ridicule as he seems to have done. Let's look at the CBI and the investigation process. It's a 70-year-old organization. The bill draftsman rightly had a dilemma. Should the birth of a new institution like the Lokpal mean the automatic destruction of every existing institution? A 70-year-old CBI, a 10-year-old CVC, everything should be destroyed because we are creating a new Lokpal. That's not the approach. Let me start by saying that there is a difference of approach of philosophy. The difference of approach of philosophy is that on the one side, those outside this house who have a particular philosophy which the main opposition party seems to be supporting, although not quite saying so, that philosophy is one philosophy. Our philosophy is totally different. Let me explain. That's how all the details arise. Details and changes arise because of philosophy of approach. The approach of those outside the house, which you are supporting, although not accepting, is you must have one Lokpal, you must subsume the CBI under the Lokpal, you must subsume the CBC under the Lokpal, you must put the entire grievance redressal and citizens charter. Mind you, central government alone has 200 departments, each department has a charter, it has to be monitored, all of it under the Lokpal. You must put the suo motu complaint before the Lokpal, you must put the referred complaint by me to the Lokpal in the Lokpal, you must have the preliminary inquiry by the Lokpal, you must have the actual investigation by the Lokpal, you must have the quasi-judicial decision making at each of these stages by the Lokpal. You must then have prosecution by the Lokpal. Thank God you did not say that you must give judgment by the Lokpal also. Thank God. Thank God. Now, there is inherent, you are creating a behemoth, a mammoth of unimaginable proportions. The Prime Minister's office and the central government will look like a pygmy in front of this giant. And you, if Lord Acton's phrase of power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely is even partially correct, you are creating a breeding ground for big ticket corruption. Second, you are in fact making a body outside the whole system. You are having a body with inherent conflict of interest in all the 7 or 8 items I've said. And this body, mind you, will also cover the Prime Minister to the peon. So this is not our conception. Our conception is of mutual checks and balances, of mutual interlocking checks and balances, which, among other things, create a equilibrium between the holy trinity or the trinity of the Lokpal, the CBC and the CBI. Each must depend on the other because that is the way our constitution is framed. Now, my friend, of course, forgot, although he is far too learned and knowledgeable, not to know about it, but he deliberately chose not to point out 4 or 5 fundamental changes of great independence, autonomy and advances made for the first time in 60 years in this country in this bill. He conveniently forgot to mention number 1, that for Lokpal referred investigations, which is corruption, there will now for the first time be no 6A prior sanction. Incidentally, prior sanction for joint secretaries and above under 6A was required to be abolished by the Vinitarayan judgment. If I recollect rightly, the NDA government brought it back. But that apart, this bill for the first time abolishes the prior sanction, apart from abolishing all other sanctions under section 19 of the Prevention of Corruption Act and under 197, but 6A in particular. Incidentally, 6A was perhaps not specifically abolished even in the government bill introduced earlier. But after the report, it has been accepted, it's been abolished. Number 2, we have been talking in this country for 60 years that it is better to have some differentiation between investigation and prosecution. It creates better objectivity. Today, if I am the investigator, I come back to the CBI and tell my colleague sitting in the next room, this is my investigation, you please prosecute. Collegiality means that he will normally prosecute on not such a good investigation. But separation of prosecution and investigation has been the progressive ideal of most systems. This bill for the first time creates a separation, a Chinese wall. For Lokpal referred investigations, the Lokpal shall prosecute. There is objectivity there. Number 3, there is clearly, among others, in clause 25, a statement that the merits of the investigation of the CBI shall not be interfered with. But here comes an important point which the Leader of the Opposition made. The Leader of the Opposition was talking about the common law in England and in India, which is this. The common law means judge-made law, that the investigation process of a CBI or any investigating agency cannot and should not be interfered with. But there is no law which says that statutory law can't change the common law. Perhaps my friend has forgotten that that is why in the provision in the bill we are considering is a specific provision which overrides and seeks to amend section 173. It in fact makes the charge sheet or the closure report fileable by the Lokpal. The Lokpal is the one which will file the charge sheet. Now, on the one hand, you keep saying Lokpal should be important, should be strong. On the other hand, when we provide for Lokpal initiated investigation, that the whole control remains with the Lokpal, you start objecting. Remember, the CBI does murders, rapes, cases. It does prevention of corruption, non-prevention of corruption act economic offences. It does state-referred cases. It does High Court-referred cases. It does Supreme Court-referred cases. These are not the cases we are considering. The CBI is separate for all of them. The cases we are considering is Lokpal-referred investigation under the Prevention of Corruption Act. Well, in that case, why should not the matter come back to the Lokpal to file a charge sheet? And we have amended 173. Does any law say that the Parliament here under under this new bill cannot amend the common law? Then, section 8A. Now, this is very interesting. One of the arguments, I always get mixed up whether the argument is from that person sitting outside or from the BJP, but there are nuances of that. There is a great overlap. One of the arguments of Team Anna and partly of the BJP is that you submerge the whole CBI under the Lokpal or give administrative control of the CBI to the Lokpal. Let's look at this argument for a minute. Of course, they never thought of transferring any administrative control during NDA regimes.
Yes, definitely.
Today, everything in this country must be transferred. Even a selection committee of the Prime Minister, Chief Justice and Leader of the Opposition is not enough. But we'll come to that. Now, let's look at this process of what is the argument? The argument is that you are actually not making the CBI subject to the control of the Lokpal. But actually, in a large measure, you are. This bill, I've told you, the investigation report comes back and the Lokpal files the charge sheet. The Lokpal has been transferred the section 8A power of the CVC, which is full supervisory jurisdiction over the CBI. So that is also with the Lokpal. The Lokpal does the prosecution. So apart from actually putting the CBI under the Lokpal, we have given great control and power to the Lokpal over the CBI. Unless they want to eliminate the identity of the CBI completely, there should be no objection. My friend has an objection to the selection committee. Can I ask him which body in this country has a selection procedure where the government nominees don't have a slight majority, or at least those associated with the government? This one has less. One of his colleagues sits on the CVC selection, that is Prime Minister, Home Minister and Leader of the Opposition. They sit on the selection of the NHRC, Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, Chief Justice, etc., etc. Now, is he suggesting that for the first time in this country, you must specifically create law where the government must be in a minority in selection? No, please, let me complete.
He's not yielding, please.
You interrupt my flow.
Please let
We'll
him
discuss it later on, please.
He's not yielding.
Now,
He's not yielding. Please sit down.
now,
Chandan Mitra ji, please, he's not conceding.
let's discuss. So therefore,
when you are
therefore,
done, then
friends,
you can speak.
you have at least five new systems here in this new bill. Prosecution separated, all sanctions abolished, no influence during investigation, section 25 or clause 25, charge sheet to be filed by Lokpal, supervisory jurisdiction of 8A with the Lokpal, and selection after changing the law, again for your sake, by a very high-powered body. Now, if you don't trust people like the Chief Justice of India, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, all ex officio, and you say there is a government sarkari selection, then I think fundamental restructuring of a democracy must come about. Because democracy, answerable through Parliament, must not select. Outsiders must select.